And we're live. Hello, everyone. David Pease here, broadcasting from Studio Squim with a special guest and friend of the channel, Alastair, broadcasting from Edinburgh, Scotland.
Hey, David, how's it going?
Great. Thank you for joining me. I was going to say at this odd hour, but it's only an odd hour for me. If you're watching live, it's 7 a.m. here in beautiful Squim, Washington, and 3 p.m., 2 p.m. over
3 p.m. over in Scotland, yeah. So a
3
nice civil mid-afternoon game for me, and I'm very grateful to you for accommodating a much earlier start over in the west coast of the States. So
Oh, I don't mind if it's playing a game. If I didn't have a game scheduled, I'd be back in bed, out sleeping like a baby. But when an opportunity to play a game comes up, I'm all for it. So time has no meaning. Well, maybe if it was like a 2 or 3 a.m. game, I might balk. But
yeah, we're not all Guillaume. I'm always amazed at our friend Guillaume's ability to schedule those like 4 a.m. Playtest games and this kind of thing. He's a real trooper.
that guy is a superman. He will play a game any time of the day. Yeah, he's even doing like Friday night. He played a game last night on the Alien Investigations channel, which I highly recommend. I'll put a link to that channel in the description after we're done. But since I mentioned it, and they were playing X-Files CCG, not the 2P CG that we're playing now, but the X-Files CCG. And Guillaume is a trooper. I didn't have a chance to watch the entire game, but yeah, he plays at all kinds of hours to accommodate us over here in the States, and we appreciate that. And he's a great player too, and a really nice guy. So it's always fun to have him join us on the channel. Anyway, we are playing Versus System 2P CG, 2-player card game. And this is a new one for me. Alastair, you've played it in the past using Marvel. And
Yeah,
so
it's been a little while. Been a little while since I had two PCG on the table, but I really enjoy this game. I was saying just before we went live that I am always very happy every time I come back to it when I'm just going for that quick refresh on the rules. That actually, aside from one or two things that are a little bit fiddly, it's a pretty easy game to pick up again after a couple of years away from it. You know, that I was back into that rule book. Everything was yeah, I remember that. I remember this. So it'll be really fun to get the X-Files stuff on the table. I've never played with this set before, and some new cards to wrap my head around, and some. It'll be fun to see how the game represents the X-Files world, because we're so used to seeing that in the CCG, which is a very different kettle of fish. This with this game, I think we're in for a fun time, but it's not going to be that same kind of like super realistic kind of representation of an investigation. This one is a very combat focused game, and I think we're going to have a lot of the kind of epic fights that we see pretty rarely in the TV show, but it should be a lot of fun to play through. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
Yes, you hit the nail on the head there. This isn't kind of an episodic feel like the CCG has, where you go to a site and you play events, and you've got witnesses that help with boosting your skills and that kind of stuff, and trying to guess which X-file your opponent is playing. This is very, very basic. We were talking off camera before we went live, and you said you might have to fix my words a little bit here, but it's very just, you play an event and the effect goes in, and now it's the other player's turn. They don't stack, I believe is what you said, where, you know, I play this, but I'm playing this to negate that, and I'm going to negate your negate, and there's not a lot of back and forth like that. It's very straightforward. Play a card, get the effect, discard it, and it's a little more intricate than that, you know, with effects and power-ups and that kind of stuff. But I'm looking forward to a pretty smooth game. You've got a little bit of experience, and it's like riding a bicycle. It all came back to you. It's pretty new for me. I did read through the cards, but I'll probably have to, and without my glasses on, I'm gonna have to like get up real
Yeah.
close and refresh my memory about the about some of the powers, and I might skip a few along the way. But I am looking forward to this game. I knew this game was out there. There's actually been two editions. A first edition came out back in the early 2000s, and it was reasonably successful, but met its demise. And then a couple years after that, Upper Deck announced that they were bringing it back, and they made a lot of changes. Uh, I was watching Team Covenant last night, watching their playthrough of a Marvel edition, and they were talking about the history of the game, and they said a couple years after it fizzled out, they made changes and reissued it with new rules and stuff. And this, someone in the comments said that it was about 30 to 40% the same, and then the rest was overhauled. So they kept kind of the basic concept and uh, made some changes and streamlined things. I'm not familiar with the first edition, so I couldn't comment on that, but it's taken off and people are playing it. And of course, they started with their bread and butter, Marvel and DC, and uh, after a while, they kind of branched out and started doing other popular IPs, including the X-Files, which is what we're going to play today. And that's the one that kind of got me interested. I'd always seen Versus System on store shelves, and I was curious, but not curious enough. So it kind of slipped past me. But when there was an X-Files expansion, I was like, what do we have here? And decided just to buy it up, even though I'm a notorious cheapskate. I was like, I'm gonna get this, and read through the cards, and it was kind of interesting. A little easier to pick up than the X-Files CCG. Not as intricate, but still sounds like a lot of fun. And of course, it's got my favorite character, Pusher, in it. And so we're playing with the constructed decks, or not constructed, but the deck lists that are included in the rule book, to kind of dip our toes in and make sure that we know what we're doing. But I hope this is the first of many games, and so we'll do some more, some more decks that are from the back of our minds, and I'm sure you'll see Pusher come out. Robert Patrick Modell, that's his name, right? You'll probably see a deck. So spoiler alert: if anyone who's going to challenge me later, you'll see him. But yeah, I don't know anything else we want to talk about here before we get started.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty nice setup. This is a game where like a lot of people in our X-Files CCG community own a copy. I've talked about it in the past, but we've not really seen it cracked out and played yet. So, like you say, hopefully hitting the table now and us doing a little learning game will open those floodgates of all the players we have sitting with copies of this on the shelf to come and have a shot at it, because it's a nice change of pace from the CCG. And one of the cool things as well about playing this set is because when it was made, you've got all 9 seasons are covered in here, so you're going to see characters and episodes from all over the show. Which, whilst our development team in the CCG is slowly working towards filling that dream there, we have a little bit of it here in the Versus System game, so that should be really good fun. But yeah, I think we can head into setting up the game if you're ready, David.
I believe so, and I see we have a couple of viewers watching us live, so thank you for joining us. Feel free to comment while we're playing, especially if you are a seasoned veteran of the Versus System and you see maybe we missed a step or forgot a rule or something like that. Feel free to help us out along the way. We appreciate that. I have my deck here all shuffled up. You've shown us your main character, so I'm just going to show mine, and it's Dana Scully, and I've got her. This is her level 1, of course, and I have her level 2 card here off camera, so I can maximize my play field. But yep, I'll be playing with Dana Scully. She's not too bad of a of a card here. A 1 attack, which is that's pretty low, but she does boost up once you've gone to level 2. But a 6 defense, which isn't too bad from what I understand. An interesting effect here with the keyword forensic scientist. Choose a character in a KO pile. Here we go. I'm showing my age. In a KO pile, then remove each character with that name in each KO pile from the game. Now that insinuates that this is multiplayer. I think you can have up to 4 in this game. Do I remember that correctly? So maybe that's in our future as well. We've got plenty of people there. That would be a lot of cameras to operate, but as a host/producer, I'm willing to do it. And then to level up to the second level that I alluded to here, level up 1 at a time. When 1 or more characters are removed from the game from anywhere, Scully gains that many XP. So in a multiplayer game, you could get up to level 2 pretty quickly. In this game, we'll see what I can do, and you can see probably not. I'm so confused. That power up, her main power up, requires a very specific location with that symbol. That's a little bullseye, I guess it would be, in order to use that effect. And you'll see that card come out later on in the game. Maybe you could describe to us quickly your colonist main character there.
Yeah, so I have the colonists here. I've got a level 2 card off to one side as well, but like yourself, we start off with level 1. So this is a 2 attack, 4 defense character, and it has flying, which means that it can. Normally, things in your back row are protected from attacks from my front row. However, because this has flying, it can fly over your front row and attack characters that you're trying to hide behind. So yeah, flyer. We've got prepare for colonization as the first ability here. Build phase. For the rest of the game, you're supporting characters. Supporting characters you own have swarm, which means that you can have as many of a character with the same name as you like. So usually in this game, if you have a cry check on the table and you have a cry check in hand, you cannot play the second cry check to the table. But if your characters have swarm, you can play that second copy and have 2 cry checks at once. So yeah, that and I presume that is representing the clone story arc of the show, or maybe the alien bounty hunter, who knows. But anyway, quite a cool ability to have on my leader here. And then we've got watch and learn. This is the level up ability. Need to get 4 counters to level up. And the way that I get those counters is when each of the following appears for the first time this game, the colonists gain an XP. And those cards are Academy, Fortress, Laboratory, or Training Ground. And these are actually the location cards that generate the symbols that you were talking about earlier. So I'm wanting to get one of each of those 4 location cards to show up, and then I'll get to level 4 and be able to move on to my level 2 character. So that's the colonist. I also get to start with, I have an agenda deck, which is a pile of cards that go off to one side. And basically I can play them as though they were in my hand during the game. So this plot twist here is in my agenda deck called Colonize, and the card reads Agenda. This card starts the game in your agenda pile, and it says Build, which is your part of your phase in your turn. Draw 4 cards. Play this only while you have no cards in your hand. So a bit conditional as to when I can use it, but quite powerful when I get there. So I will leave that in the corner because it could show up at any time.
Yeah, that could come in handy. If you end up running out of cards, getting 4 is a big boost. So that's nice. Some other quick basics. This is by no means a learn to play episode here, other than me fumbling through the rules and asking a lot of questions, and I've got my rule book handy for reference. But very very quick. You alluded to front row and back row, and you'll see those as we play. There's a front row, which is your melee row. Those characters are the ones that can attack your front row. There are abilities like ranged, which Dana Scully has ranged on her card. You can attack from the back row. I can attack your front row, if I remember correctly, with ranged. With flying, you're in the front row and you can attack your opponent's back row. If you have a card with the combination of ranged and flight, you can attack the front or the back row from the back row. Do I understand that correctly?
Yes, I think you got it nicely, David. Yeah, and it's probably worth saying that's pretty much as complicated as this game gets. I think like what you just talked us through there, for me, is like the trickiest thing about this game. So that's a good sign. If we can start with that and talk that through and be on the right page, then I think everything else should go pretty smoothly.
Well, the FBI didn't hire me for my looks, right? Yeah. So
Good
that's
reason.
why I'm wearing my suit and I'm in the office. It's too early. No one else is here. But anyway, yeah. So the first row is your attack row. The second row is a little more protected, but there are game effects that allow you to do things from the back row. And then the third row, not yet represented, is your resource row. And you can either play cards from your hand face down, and they count as resources for our build and recruit steps that you'll see later, not too long from now, but you'll see that. And there are locations, and that's what Alastair was talking about with his agenda deck. There are locations, and my power up or my effect as well to pay for it with that bullseye thing. Locations have those symbols, and you can use those locations as a way to pay for your effects. The rest we're going to learn on the fly. I've got my tokens here, and my deck has been sufficiently randomized off camera, and I think we're ready. And we start. I'm going to turn this the other way just so it's easier for me when I draw. But refresh my memory, we start with 7 cards. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think the next thing we need to do is randomly choose a player to pick who's going to go first. So do you have tokens to hand you'd like to use, David, or should we use a dice?
Do you have a die handy by chance?
I do, yeah. Sorry, bear with me a second here.
If this were the MMXFILESCCG, I'd have tons of tokens everywhere. But with this one, I've just got these little cardboard markers, which are pretty lightweight. So yeah, I'll tell you what, I will pick odds.
Okay. It is even, so I will pick to go first here. And then starting with the first player, each player puts their level 1 main character into either their front or back row, and they then put the other levels of their main character off to the side. So I am going to start with my colonists in... I think we'll start with them in the back row for me. So that's them in the back row. How about Scully? Where do you want Scully to start there, David?
I'm going to have Scully start in the back row, and that'll be more obvious as we play more cards. But right now she's kind of in the middle of my screen, and that's going to be my back row.
Okay, and yet now we're going to just shuffle up and draw 7. So.
Okay, I'll shuffle a little bit there too while you're doing yours.
And it's worth mentioning at this point that there is a mulligan in this game, unlike X-Files. Every time we play X-Files CCG, I play quite a lot of card games, and I always get caught out because most card games have a mulligan rule of some sort, where if you don't like your opening hand, you can put it back in some way and then redraw cards. And so I often find myself in the CCG looking at my hand, wondering whether I'm going to mulligan, and then remembering that actually we don't have a choice in that one. It works quite differently.
Not an option unless you have that great mulligan card. But yeah, I think mulligan is a good rule, at least for the first turn. So you're not just stuck with a dead hand. And
I think X-Files kind of gets away with it because you can pay to draw cards straight away.
True.
So you can go and sort of like adjust your hand a bit by doing that. Whereas for most games, including this one, if you're the first player, we actually skip our draw phase in this. And I think it's that thing, like you're saying, when if you just draw an opening hand of cards and you have no way to add to it or modify it, and the game just goes, yeah, you're stuck with that. That can be a pretty tough break. So the option in this too, I think in this one we're just putting all 7 cards back if we don't like that opening hand, shuffling and drawing a new 7 cards. So definitely a way to allow for that a little bit, that unlucky first draw. So yeah, that's probably enough shuffling for me. So I'll go ahead and draw 7.
Okay. And I will draw my 7 as well.
And then I think we're meant to place the the deck beside the resource row. I don't suppose that it matches really sort of all that much, but I'll stick with it just now.
If you need more room later on, we're all friends here.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm like slightly more cramped, I think, than you for table space. So if it becomes important, I will shuffle everything up a bit. Yeah. Okay, so having drawn our opening 7, I am not going to mulligan this hand. I'm going to hold on to this. So were you also happy with your opening 7, David?
Very quickly looking. Yeah, I feel pretty good with this. I'll play it.
Okay, so that's us all done with the setup, and we can move on to our first turn of the game. So because I am the first player, I skip the draw phase, which is usually what happens at the beginning of a turn. You draw 2 cards. So nothing going on there. Then we move to the recovery phase. This would be if we had any stunned characters from combat that had happened during the game, they would ready back up again. But first turn of the game, so nothing there either. So we finally move to the build phase, and this is the phase where we can do something. So we've got the resource step up first, which is you choose any one card in your hand, place it face down in your resource row, and it becomes a resource to pay for things. If you play a location in that way, you can place it face up, and it's still a resource. So I am going to play a resource for my build phase, and I actually had a fortress in my opening hand. So I play fortress, and it gets an XP counter onto my colonists straight away here. So we're a quarter of the way there to leveling them up. And if I have anything that costs a green fist symbol to do, I now have that. I will have to flip it over, so I can only use it once, but I have that there to pay for something if I need it. Recruit step comes after that. So this is all still in the build phase. We've got the resource step where you play your resource, and recruit step where we gain 1 recruit point for each resource we have, regardless of whether that resource is face up or face down. So I will get one point for my fortress, and I can spend any or all recruit points to play supporting characters or equipment. And you choose when you play it whether it goes in the front or the back row. And when you play equipment, it gets attached to one of your face up characters. So I actually do have a 1-cost card in my hand that I can play here as well, and it is just having a quick cheeky skip ahead in the rules there to see if I can do something sneaky that I'm hoping to do here. I'm going to pay my 1 recruit point to play. I'm a little bit squashed for space. I'm playing Diana Fowley to my front row here. So she costs 1. She can take 1 hit before she's sent to the discard pile, or the KO pile, I think it's called in this. And she's 2 attack, 3 defense. Her ability is Alien Hybrid Project main. And I'm going to say yellow. I usually shorthand to the colors for this. They all have symbols, but they're a little bit fiddly. So and they are color coded as well. So main, pay yellow. The next time a character on your side uses 2 different symbols superpower, they pay 1 fewer off the icons required to do it. So she's a cost reducer basically for abilities to happen. And that's me spent all my recruit points. So I now have what's called the formation step, where you rearrange characters between your rows. So you can basically take any character you have on the table. Doesn't matter whether they're left or right of the character is there. It is only really about whether they're in the front or the back. So I'm actually going to move my colonists up to be in the front row with Fowley here, and move on to my main phase. And one of the things that I find really interesting about this game is that you can attack on the first turn of the game. So very commonly in card games, right, the draw step is skipped for the first player, but quite frequently we see the attack step skipped as well. And I believe I'm understanding it correctly and remembering correctly from previously playing this that that's not the case here. So I'm actually going to get an early attack in here. So I have two characters in my front row here, and I want them to do what's called a team attack in this game, which is if they share an icon in the top right. So these cards both do. They've got the little alien face. They can team up to attack a more powerful character. And so normally Scully with her, Scully's 6 health, isn't she, David?
She's 5.
5. I'm getting carried away. I was forgetting that she's not a 4 defense like my colonists are. So actually, I won't be doing any attacking because I'm not quite strong enough here, and I don't think I've got anything that can help me get there. So scrap that plan. No attacks are happening. I've said I'll leave them in the front row, so we'll stick with that because no rewinding going on here. But that will totally skip through combat for us. Because even with them both teamed up, they would not be strong enough to actually damage Scully. So yeah, that's going to be my turn done, and it's going to go over to you, David.
Okay, and a quick question about the team ups. That means you add their attack together, right? And that's the combined attack number that you would use.
Yeah, this is like a little bit fiddly because it's not something you see in these kind of card games too often. When you team up, you've got to share the symbol, you've got to be in the same row, and then you add your attack together. You deal that attack damage to the defending card, and then the defending card picks one of the cards that you're teaming up to attack with to strike back against. Yeah, I mean, I think like not too complicated, but just something you maybe don't see in a lot of card games. So that's how that works. And yeah, that makes me worried that maybe I'm going to get team attack now. So I took the go for it.
Well, we'll see. And I do want to clarify. I misunderstood your question. I thought you were asking what Scully's health is. You were asking what her defense is, and her defense is 6. I misstated and said 5. So yeah, her
Apologies,
defense.
That difference between the health and defense is important in this. So I'll try and remember to stick using the defense when we're talking about that second number after the attack. So yeah, but sadly I still wouldn't be able to do any damage to her. So yeah, go for it. Take it away with your turn.
All right, so I get to draw 2, right? That's just the first person, first turn. Okay. So
yeah, you get to for 2.
Oh, interesting turn of events there. And the defense of your 2 cards at the top there?
So I've got my main character, the colonist, with 4 defense, and Fowley with 3 defense.
3, okay. Well, shoot. Okay, well, I drew my 2, and similar to yours, there's no recovery. We haven't had any combat yet, so no one needs to come back from that. Recruit step. Oh no, sorry, resource step. Let's start up with an iconic location. I'm going to play the X-Files. Mulder's office there. It's kind of hard to see on my camera, but this is a wild card. Let's see if I can get my spatial thing here. and it doesn't show up too well because it's kind of small on camera, but you can see it counts as any number of the different power-ups that I'm looking for. The one I'd be looking for is that red one there, but who knows what'll happen later. So I'll play that face up in my resource row. And that gets me 1. So I am going to spend that 1 resource to bring Frohickey, who costs 1 there. He is, of course, if you're familiar with the X-Files, he's part of the Lone Gunman. He has, let's see, you can also power up this character with Byers or Langley, so they all help each other out. They're all represented in the game here. And his effect is photography. When this character gets powered up or powers up Byers or Langley, you get to draw an extra card. Not too bad. Attack of 1, defense of 3, and 1 health. So not super powerful, but some potential there in the future. So I'll play him to my middle row alongside Dana Scully there. And let's see, that's my recruit. Again, kind of referring to my rule book off stage. So formation is next. I'm going to leave them where they're at for right now. I don't know if that's a smart move or not, but I'll keep them in the back row. Or you know what? Actually, I'm going to move Frohickey to the front. That way he'll be some cannon fodder for Dana later on if I need it. Which I feel like you're coming out pretty aggressive right off the bat, so I need to be ready for that.
Yeah, and just for anyone who's not played this game before, the reason that David would put that character in front for that purpose is that if there's something in the front row, it has to be attacked first. I can only attack into the back row if the front row is empty or I have flying. So by putting that character up front, you put a roadblock there that has to be taken care of before I can get to your main character in the back.
Cool. All right, and combat Frohickey not meant for field combat. He only has an attack of 1 and a defense of 3, so I think I'm just going to keep him there for now and not do any combat this time around.
Okay, and so I think that brings us into the end of your turn, right, David?
Yep, so I will turn it over to you, sir.
Okay, so I will draw 2 cards to start my turn. Still no recovery to do, so nothing to worry about there. Resource step, I've gotten very lucky and also have a laboratory here. So that's another one of the named cards I need to level up my colonists so I get a second counter. So we're halfway towards leveling them up to level 2. That is my resource step. For recruit, I have 2 points with the 2 locations there to spend, and I have an interesting one to play here. I have the Crew Cut Man, so he's a 2-cost supporting character, and he's 3 attack, 2 defense with a ranged icon. So actually, I think we're going to put him into the back row because his ranged icon means that he can his ranged icon means that he can shoot from the back row to your front row. But actually, I think with all my characters being quite small, it's more important to me that I can team them up if they need to be teamed up. So we'll leave him in the front row with the other characters. And his ability is when he stuns a supporting character, he can draw a card. So moving on to my main phase. Remind me again what Frohickey's stats are there, David.
Oh, his attack is 1, his defense is 3, and his health is 1. So he's an easy knockout. You probably wouldn't even need to team up.
Okay. Yeah, so I think taking care of him seems like a good plan here, and the crew cut man seems like the perfect character for the job. So he will make a melee attack against Frohickey, dealing 3 damage, and he takes 1 back, which with his 2 defense is not enough to kill him. But he will. I'm just making sure I've got this right. That he. Yeah, he stuns Frohickey, but because Frohickey can only take 1 hit, that will actually move Frohickey to the KO pile.
Yeah, he's out.
And I do get to draw a card because of his killer ability. So 1 card into my hand. And then sadly, Fowley and the colonists are not strong enough to do anything to Scully. So I can't really do anything more there, and I will throw it over to you for your next turn, David.
All right, well, I'll start by drawing my 2. All right. And then kind of wish this had a quick reference card or something printed on the back so I didn't have to keep flipping pages here. But recovery phase, I don't have anyone to recover. Poor Frohickey is already out of the turn there. Build phase, let's see. Some kind of odd locations that I got set up with here. But I'll play them out here. Because you never know when something will come in handy. So I'll play the Academy. This is a location, so I'll play it face up, and it does provide me with a yellow power if I need it later on. That gets me 2 recruit points, which why not? I've got the recruit points. Let's do it. I'm going to bring in Langley, who is a cost of 2. He is part of the Lone Gunman. You can also power up this character with Byers or Frohickey. So again, the 3 guys being able to help each other. His effect is computers. When this character gets powered up or powers up Byers or Frohickey, choose an enemy player to discard a random card. That's not too bad. And I will play him to my front row. Now, with that, recruit and then formation. I'm going to keep everyone where they are at, with Langley in the front and Dana in the back. So on to main phase, which is just straight up combat, but Langley only has 1 attack, which is pretty much just like a little mosquito flying in your ear kind of a thing. It's not enough to really do anything, I don't think. Your guys' defense, I'm sorry, I'm going to probably ask you this a couple times during the course of the game.
Yeah, we've got so just quickly actually, PJ in the chat, thank you for that, because I just presumed that it was only my own locations that were going to add XP counters, but right enough, absolutely the card just says when they appear for the first time in a game. So thank you very much, because that does mean that thanks to David playing an academy, I actually get a third token onto the colonists. So we're one off getting them to level 2 here. So
you know what? And that even crossed my mind, and I thought the same thing. Like it would just be on your side of the field. So I was like, I'll just play academy. What the hell?
no, I had not twigged that, so I really appreciate the
Yeah.
catch. That's very, very good of you. So yeah, sorry, David, you were asking about the stat lines for my characters. So I've got my main character, Colonist, here at 2-4. Fowley here is a 2-3, and Crew Cut Man as a 3-2.
But I can't attack Crew Cut Man, right? He's exhausted.
I believe you can attack him even if he is exhausted, but let's just double check that. Yeah, it just has to be a face-up front row enemy to be the defender. So if he had been stunned when I attacked last turn into Brohickey, then you couldn't have chosen him. But because he's still face-up, he's a legitimate target there.
Okay. Again, with the one attack, I think I pretty much got nothing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I will pass on combat, which I believe ends my turn and sends it over to you.
Okay, so starting my draw phase, 2 cards to hand. Recovery phase. I presume that this is probably a good time to unexhaust the Crew Cut Man. And build phase, I have an academy of my own to play. So sadly, no counter because it's now the second time that it's shown up in the game, but still a little colored resource there for me if I need it. And recruit step, I have choices here, so I need to think about this one. Now, does Langley have ranged or anything like that there, David?
He does not. He's just a 1 attack, 4 defense, 1 health, and just his printed effect. There's no other keyword type things like ranged or flight.
So I think in that case, I am going to spend my 3 resources and play a card to the back row this time. I'm going to play a super soldier to the back row here. So this card has swarm. I have a card that can give cards swarm. This card just has it straight away. You can have any number of this character on your side, and you can't turn swarm off in any way, so it's permanently there. It's a 5 attack, 1 defense ranged card, and it can take 2 wounds. And it has enhanced durability. If this character gets stunned, other than by getting struck in combat, it doesn't get wounded. So that seems pretty handy. And with that, I'll move to my my main phase, and I'm going to start with an attack by the super soldier, a ranged attack against Langley in your front row there for 5.
Well, that's a very formidable attack, and my defense only being 4, I cannot withstand that attack. So, and because he only has 1 health, that immediately just takes care of business. Now my strike to you doesn't do anything, right?
Yeah, in this instance, because you don't have the ranged icon, you actually don't strike back with the characters.
Right.
So.
Right, because you're attacking from your back row. Forgot that little detail there.
And
so Langley gets sniped. Got sniped from the back row there.
The super soldiers got Langley. I think I'm also going to use one of my colored abilities this turn. So this is where I use one of my. I could discard a location from hand and get its colored energy that way. But because I have one in play, I want to use that here for Fowley's abilities. This is a main. Something else in the main step. Main, pay yellow. The next time a character on your side uses a humanity or an alien superpower, they pay 1 fewer alien or humanity symbols to do that. So I'm going to use that just now. I think I'm doing this in the right order. I presume that is going to, what I want is for that to carry over to my next turn. And I don't see any reason why it doesn't. PJ Foley in chat, if you're still watching, you seem to know your stuff. You can tell me if I'm wrong on that, but I believe that will hold. So because it just says the next time a character does. So I'm going to pay that yellow on the presumption that means when I come around to my build step next turn, I can activate that colonist ability for free. It would normally cost me an alien power. So I will do that just now, and then I'm going to make one more.
It looks like we have consensus on that.
Nice. Okay, yeah, sweet. Yeah, we're going to make one more attack here, and this time it's going to be a huge team attack with my 3 characters in the front row, going after Scully. So I get to. They all share the alien symbol, so I get to combine their attack values here. So we've got a 2, a 2, and a 3, so that's 7 attack in total. Do you have any tricks up your sleeve, any plot twists or anything to help Scully out? Or?
Unfortunately, no. I do not. So I just have to take that.
And she just has the one attack, is that right, David? So she's not going to be able to get anything sadly back the other way here.
No, I won't get anything back on you. So I will stun and exhaust and put a wound counter on her.
Okay, and then that's me done for turn. That's everything. So over to you.
All right. Well, then I will start my turn by drawing 2. I'm just going to quickly look at these cards that I drew.
Take your time.
And all right, so that was my draw. So build, or no, I'm sorry, recovery. So I will recover Dana. She does keep her wound there, so I'll put that token back on there. I'll put it down there in the white area so it's a little more obvious. And then resource. And you have already played Fortress, so I'm going to play Fortress to my resource, and it doesn't count as an XP toward your colonists. So it's safe to play that one now. And let's see, I gotta wait just a minute for this particular effect. Recruit, well, now that I have 3, I might be able to get somebody a little more formidable. Well, not really. But I do need to keep Dana protected. Interesting. So I will pay. I'll pay 1 to play Frohickey. Same as before, he can power up other lone gunmen, which isn't my opportunity on this one. And then the keyword photography. When this character gets powered up or powers up Byers or Langley, you get to draw a card. So I'll put that there. And I can't afford anything else. So those extra 2 resource points will go away. And I'll move to the main phase, which immediately I'm going to play a plot twist, which is Baby William. This is one of a kind. You can only have 1 in your deck, so you won't see this one again. Play in the main phase, put an enemy equipment or supporting character into its owner's hand. So I'm going to put Crew Cut Man back into your hand. I believe he's the most costly one, so I want to
Oh, if you want the highest cost one, that's actually now my super soldiers who are hiding out in the back row here.
Oh, yes, then I will take advantage of your
Go for that.
allowing me to do that. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, of
super
course. Yeah, okay.
soldiers back
Super
to your
soldiers
hand.
back to hands.
And putting in the KO. I'm going to play another plot twist, which is called "I Need Your Help," with that cool screenshot from the episode there where she puts the X in the window. This is played during your main phase. Search your deck for a card, shuffle your deck, then put that card on top. So I'm going to quickly breeze through my deck here to find a card that's going to help me out.
Yeah, very nice. We know from various other games that anytime you get to go dig up that magic answer for your next turn is good.
Yeah, and I thought I knew what I wanted, but now I see something different that I might
Cool
want to do.
decision.
Oof. Yeah, I know what it is. And it doesn't say that I have to show it to you. So I'm going to just set it right there and shuffle up real quick here.
Sure.
And it keeps bouncing, our viewership keeps bouncing during our live broadcast here between 1 and 2 people. So right now it's 2. So thank you very much, PJ, for joining us and helping us out with questions regarding the rules there. Appreciate having an expert on hand for any questions, and to the other person who just disappeared again, but a future thank you to anyone who joins us during the live broadcast. And if you like what you see, please do like the broadcast so I know that people are interested in watching, and also subscribe to the channel. We're going to be playing this game more often. We've got in our personal friend group, I'll put this card that I chose on top, so that'll be handy for next turn. We've got a lot of people in our little gaming group who own this Versus System X-Files because they're X-Files fans, and I also reached out to my friends at eBay and picked up Buffy the Vampire Slayer and The Boys. So as my skill level gets better, you might see things mixing up. My ultimate dream was to get V. There's a card with the V serum, and I was like, oh, I'm going to power up the cigarette smoking man. This is going to be awesome. But that card unfortunately says you can only use it on VOT characters, so that squashed my dream of that. But still, an interesting idea, or even playing with somebody who's the X-Files. Maybe have it be Fox Mulder versus Homelander or something would be kind of a funny mashup. So, and there's always room for more people in the group. So if you like what you're seeing, you're curious, maybe you want to play against myself or Alastair or anyone else that you see pop up, would love to just reach out to us, and in the comments here or on my channel, you can reach me through that. We would love to get you on camera and get some cards on the table and play the game. And, I'll gain more experience and be a better opponent, and we'll get a chance to play this game a lot more often. So yeah. All right, so I've played out that effect. My card that I chose is on top of my deck, and from there, again, Frohickey and Dana Scully with just one attack is not enough to even attempt anything on that because I'll get struck back, and I don't want that. So I think after those two plot twists being played, I've set myself up pretty good for the next turn. So I will end my turn and hand it over to you, sir.
Makes sense to me. Okay, so I start by drawing 2 cards. Okay, interesting. And then I have the recovery phase, so ready up this front row of characters. Build phase, I am going to drop another fortress here, so another resource in the row, and recruit step. Going to I think after your shenanigans last turn, David, I'm on the repeat plan here of replaying my super soldiers to the back row. So they will show up again, and I will go to my main phase, and we're going to repeat the plan here. So super soldier will attack Frohickey in the front row for 5 there.
Okay, not a problem. He's handily taken care of there.
And then, actually, sorry. Can I have a little small rewind here because
are we going back in time? Sure.
Just very quickly in the build phase, I had used the cost reducer for the colonists to let me just trigger that first ability on them of for the rest of the game, supporting characters I want to have swarm. So it's literally just to say, okay, I use that cost reduction that makes it cost 1 less, set that up last turn. So now I use that ability for free. And now all my characters have swarm till the end of the game, so I can have as many copies of any of these individual characters as I want. But then we'll get right back to it, and the super soldiers will indeed shoot Frohickey.
Oh, and Frohickey has to relive his death again. All right, there we go.
It's the Groundhog Day episode, right? It's Monday. And then another team attack with Crew Cut Man, Fowley, and the colonists against Scully to put another wound on her, hopefully.
Okay, so I will, just for formality's sake, even though she's going to come back here in a little bit, she is stunned and another wound counter, so that takes her up to 2.
And with that, I can't really do anything else, so I will pass it over to you, David.
All right, well, I will start my turn by drawing 2 cards. And recovery, so I will recover Dana. She still retains those two wounds, so I'll keep those. You know, if I keep turning her upside down and everything, I'm going to keep these 2 wounds just to the side here.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's easier to see that way too. So we can see she has 2, and I can turn her upside down and right side up again without too much horsing around. On to build phase and the resource. Normally named cards are unique, but that does not count in the case of resources. You can have as many of the same title. So I'm going to play another fortress. And still nobody in your KO pile. I don't know if it's operator error here or if I'm just kind of stuck here with some high cost supporters, and the low cost ones, man, they just keep getting picked off one at a time. But to recruit, I've got 4 here. So let's. Well, Let's see here. Recruiting. Come on, David. We don't like dead air. So I've got 4 resources. I'm going to pay 3 for buyers. Again, he's got the lone gunman, which is the same as the other guys. And science, when this character gets powered up by or powers up Frohikir Langley, you get to put a -1 counter on an enemy character. I would like to think, as a glass is half full, that he'll be in the next phase, and I might be able to, or my next turn, and I could power him up. But that's not likely considering your lineup over there. But we'll see what happens. You never know. So that ends my recruit. I'll just have to let that extra recruit point fall by the wayside. And we'll move on to the main phase. Now I'm going to start my main phase by discarding a Dana Scully supporting character to power up Dana Scully with a +1/+1. So I'm going to put that on there. I'll also put that to the side so we can see that there. That means her attack is now 2. Ooh. But her defense is now 7, which may help me later on in the game. But still, my attacks are not even close to being able to touch your guys. If I remember correctly, your defenses are all pretty high up there, right?
So I have the crew cut man at just 2 defense. I've got Foley at 3, colonists at 4, and super soldiers hiding in the back row though at 1. But I think because Scully's in the back row, and does she have a ranged icon?
She does have range, so that's very intriguing that you would mention that. I think Dana will attack from the back row to get those super soldiers with an attack of 2, and your defense being 1. I definitely.
So if I remember correctly, because the super soldiers are in the back row and Scully's in the back row, what ranged means for her is that she can hit.
Attack just the front row, right. She needs.
I mean, there is still a good attack against the crew cut man who only has 2 defense. Whilst he does have range, he only has 3 attacks. So he's not going to do anything to Scully unless I have an amazing trick, which clearly I don't. Yeah, there's still a good attack, but I think the super soldiers are too far away to be hit by him.
Right. Yeah, I would need flight in order to attack your back row there. What does this say? The gunmen can power up in your main phase or in combat. An interesting trick there.
Yes, you can use a little trick in combat by discarding to make it bigger than your opponent's expecting it to be.
I don't have to wait till next turn. Unfortunately, I do not have a lone gunman. They're all in my KO pile. That was my last gunman. So
Scully's shooting crew cut man here, right, David?
Yes,
I'm a KO pile. Yeah.
Yeah.
He only has one wound, so he's dead.
And your retaliatory strike, not enough to cause anything to me?
Just three attacks, so way off the 7 mark to get Scully.
Okay, good. Finally, and a successful attack. Because she's exhausted, I think I cannot use her superpower. So,
I think you can use superpowers as long as you're doing it in the phase that it's indicated and you can pay for it. I think you can use them even when characters are exhausted.
Unless one of our intrepid viewers says different, I will use the X-Files location, which is a wild card and does have that red ability. I cannot get that reverse thing figured out, but it does have the red there to pay for Scully's effect, which is now finally I've got someone in the KO pile. Choose a character in a KO pile, then remove each character with with that name in each KO pile from the game. So I'm going to remove Super Soldier, that specific Super Soldiers. What's that?
Sorry, crew cut man in the KO
Oh,
pile?
the crew cut man. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm still
he's out
stuck
of
on
here.
that Super Soldier thing. So he is, that specific card is removed from the game. If you had another crew cut man, he would be able to be played. But that also helps with my scientific method level up. When one or more characters are removed from the game from anywhere, Scully gains that many XP. So I will add an XP to her little row of stuff here. So she's getting a lot of cool stuff there. And again, with Buyer's Attack not being formidable, I am going to end my turn.
Okay, so I start by drawing 2 cards. And recovery phase gets ready up all these characters again. Build phase, I have the syndicate location, which is my kind of equivalent of the one you just used there that makes one of anything. Now, sadly, I don't think, my colonists are only looking for those basic locations, so no bonus for me playing that.
Oh shoot!
That's correct cry into my hand. Recruit step, we've got 5 points to play with for recruiting this time, so yeah, I think what we're going to do is split these up a bit here, and going to play, we're going to spend 2 to play another crew cut man to the back row, and 3 to play Null Roar to the front row. So he is a 4 attack, 3 defense character. He can take 2 wounds. He has tough, which is when he gets stunned, I can recover him. He still gets wounded, but he's not left on his face down side. Oh no, sorry, is that? Yeah, that's right. And he also has biological imperative to survive. You can play this one at any time as long as it's during combat, so either in your combat or my combat. Spend a green to heal a wound from him so he can regenerate himself. And that's my recruit step done. Moving to main step, I'm going to... Langley is on 3 defense there, David?
He's 5 defense. He's 1 attack, 5 defense, and 1 health.
Okay, so I think in that case, I'm going to make a team attack, ranged team attack with the Super Soldier and Crew Cut Man for 8 to kill Buyers here.
Yeah, that will do it. For sure.
And with the Crew Cut Man's ability, when he stuns a supporting character, I get to draw cards, so I will draw 1 now. Put that in my hands. And then the follow-up play here is for my front row to make a team attack for, again, for 8 against Scully.
Wow. So I'll just flip this over to 3.
And that will pass the turn to you.
Back over to me. All right. Well, I'll start my turn by drawing 2. And give me just a moment to read this real quick. I don't want to lose any things here. Interesting. All right. All right, so I drew, and now recovery. So Dana comes back to life there. And Resource. You have a laboratory there in your resource, right?
Yeah, your safe play laboratory.
Okay, so I'll put laboratory down there in my resource row. And now I have 5. What to do. I'm gonna blow all 5 on John Doggett. And I'm gonna play him, to my front.
If I remember correctly, John Doggett can pack a punch, right? What have we got here, David?
He does. Thank you for asking. He costs 5, so all of my resource has been spent. He is an 8 attack and 5 defense. And he does have an effect here called Most Wanted. When Doggett stuns a main character, you get to draw a card.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, which I need because my hand started out a little rough, which has put me behind the 8 ball a bit. But yeah, with 8 attack, and all my resources spent, so that I'll end my resource or my recruit step. And then formation, I'm going to leave everyone as they are. Even though Doggett is in the front, I do want to just point out he does have the ranged ability. So if at any time later I move him to the back there, that is available. But he's in the front, and we're going to go to main phase. And I'm going to attack, but with so many targets. Now your colonists, your main character is up in the front row. Am I seeing that?
Right. Yeah. No, they're vulnerable to attack here, so they're 4 defense, so easily within Doggett's scope to hit.
Yeah. Let's do that. I need to get aggressive here. So yeah, Doggett is going to attack with his 8. And when Doggett stuns a main character, he gets to draw a card. So I will draw that card now. And exhaust. All right, well, I think yeah, with Dana's just 1 attack, well, 2 now with the power up, but still not enough to take anyone on your side, if I remember correctly.
You've got in my front row now. We've got Fowley at 3 defense and Roar at 3 defense as well. So the back row is a bit weaker, but obviously without flying, they're safe from spilling.
Right. Right. Then I will end my turn and send it over to you.
Okay, I will draw my 2 cards to start the turn. Have a quick look at what we've got here. Very interesting. Recovery phase, my colonists will come back to life. Ready everyone up. For resourcing, I actually have a second laboratory that I'm going to play here. So I'm now up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 resources. What about Dana? Should have lost +1/+1 when stunned. Right. Yeah, I'm fine with that. If she can keep her counter if you want, but I guess maybe we should keep it by the rule book and and take it away. I don't know. Either way is fine with me, David.
No, I need to learn how to play the game appropriately. So I appreciate the vote. I'm all dressed as a politician. Thank you for your vote, but let's keep it to the correct rules, especially if someone later on is watching and wants to learn to play the game. We should play it the correct way.
Okay, and can you remind me how many wounds can Doggett take there, David? Is he a 2-wound guy?
He's a 1.
He's a 1 wound. Okay, so I think we'll do keep myself right here. We've got recruit step first with 6 points to play with here, and yeah, I think the plan with that is to use 3 of them to play some more super soldiers to the back row here, and then move to main phase, and we'll have one of the super soldiers and the crew cut man team up for an attack against Doggett to hopefully send him packing.
Well, yeah, with the defense of 5 and your combined attack is 8, right?
8 there, yeah.
So that takes care of that.
And Crew Cut Man's done some good work for me here. That's another supporting character being killed, so you get to draw a card with him. And then moving to the next attack, I'm gonna stick to the game plan here and do another team attack against Scully for 8 here with the front row. Sorry.
Wow. So stunned and another damage. I'm up to 4, and she's 5. What are we saying here? Together gets a hit back.
Oh, does Doggett have range there, David?
Doggett does have ranged.
Yes, that's right there. Yeah, thanks, PJ. I appreciate that. That's good. It's a good catch. So yeah, because I've constantly been using this back row to shoot non-ranged characters, but in this instance, because he has ranged, he gets to shoot back at the 2 attackers that were after him. So he picked one of them, either super soldier or crew cut man. But the good news is with that massive 8 attack, whichever one you pick here is going to die. So would you like to kill the super soldiers or the crew cut man? But I should point out that super soldiers can take 2 wounds, so actually they would just take 1 wound and be flipped face down until next turn. Crew cut man will die and go to the discard. But
yeah, I need to knock out some characters here, so let's take out crew cut man.
Okay, so he's off to the discard pile, KO pile, sorry, and so yeah, I think we've set everything right now. Scully's got her wound from the front row attack and is face down. And I do not have anything else that I can do with my turn, so I will throw it over to you for your turn.
Well, all right. We'll draw 2. And recovery will bring Dana Scully back. Resource. Going to play another X-Files, and I'm kind of running out of room here, but
yeah, we can start stacking them up a bit. I did that last turn.
I'll play the X-Files there. So that's another wild. I'll pay for any effect. Recruiting. Now I've got some points on the board here. 6 all day. Let's see here. There is a keyword on one of these that I want to see if it's going to help me out. So I'm going to grab my handy rule book here and look it up real quick. Let's see if I can find this.
So PJ, have you played a lot of versus system? I know there were some very active communities for this game through its life. We're kind of late. We're very late comers to it. I know it recently just got cancelled some point, but very very cool. If you were in a group that played over the decade or so, just over that it had on the shelves and as an active game, seems like it would have been a lot of fun. Yeah, that's awesome. Your favorite game?
Favorite, very nice. Well, we look forward to having you in future audiences and maybe even get you on the board here, get you on the channel. I am not finding where this keyword is, which I know there's an appendix here. Did I find it?
Yeah, the keywords are kind of grouped together towards the back in this rulebook.
Game terms, deck building. The keyword I'm looking for is genius, and I think it involves drawing a card, but I'm not finding it. I'd like to blame my lack of glasses, but
I will help out and I'll dig into my rulebook here as well and see if we can get this down between us.
Well, PJ has all the sets and play on camera for Buckeye League, so I will definitely play. Outstanding. And I want more information on this Buckeye League because clearly I need all the help I can get. Am I just going bonkers, or am I not finding that glossary?
I am playing catch up here, but I am now slowly scrolling towards the.
Oh, do you have it online?
Yeah, sorry, I've got the digital copy of it here. Yeah, right. Genius is missing from the game terms bit in this one, so I presume it was like a. Oh no, sorry, it's here at the very back. So Genius is at the start of your turn, draw a card. So before your draw step, you would draw a single card, and then draw step, draw two. So that's what that does.
I thought I remembered it being a draw card thing, but I couldn't remember. Couldn't remember how it worked exactly. So with 6, recruit, man. All right, I'm gonna pay 4 to play Monica Reyes. Her effect, while there's a main character on your side with the following team affiliation, and then there's 3 options here. Law enforcement, she gets the genius keyword. With the aliens, she gets a +1 health, and this other one, which I think is the monster of the week icon or affiliation, Reyes gets +3 attack, +0. I could sure use that, but unfortunately my main character is law enforcement. So I do get the genius effect. And I'm sorry, I've already forgotten. That's at the beginning of my turn.
Yes,
when I draw a card.
PJ made a really good point here, which is that means that she needs to be face up at the start of your turn for that to work. So yes, there's a little bit of needing to protect her to get that ability to go, because of course if she's been wounded in action and is face down, that game text is no longer present to cause the draws.
Right.
Really good point.
Okay, well, I'm going to pay 4 to play her. She is a 5 attack and 4 defense and 1 health.
You're feeling these low health stats here, dude.
Oh, and my table camera has for some reason stopped. I got that card down, but
so is it just frozen? It looks okay, like I can see it still, but
I think I may have run out of power.
you to go swap batteries or just plug in?
I think I'm going to. I have another phone here, or another camera available that may help me out. But it's going to take me just a second here to get it all powered up, or get it ready to go. So bear with me. Have you heard of the this Buckeye League by
No,
chance?
that is news to me. I presume this is so is it like a Discord league online, the Buckeye League? It's awesome. Like David and I are both fans of like many discontinued card games, and one of the best things about them is just running into these amazing communities that put in work to keep games alive and keep new content coming out for them. So it's really cool to hear that you guys have like a league just rolling on online, regardless of what the company had done with the game. I must say that one thing that I really wish that they had gotten around to before they ended the game was a James Bond set for two-player card game, because if I understand correctly, it was the same. Upper Deck have the license for both, right? So I can only presume that it was a possibility that they might have done one for this, but yeah, it's sad that we'll not see it now.
That would be cool. That's the one we want to show. Because they made the Legendary game using James Bond, and which is another intriguing opportunity. That would require quite a few cameras and some production value, some behind-the-scenes production value. But an interesting one, James Bond, and there's an X-Files one, which I own, with the grand plan of trying to get a multiplayer game online with that, but may require more resources than I have at my disposal.
I figure you could actually probably do it quite easily, but it would just be a case of like you yourself as the owner of the game, David, like setting it all up on the table and drawing everyone's hands and cards for them. And actually everyone else doesn't even have a camera for their table. They don't have any cards on their table. They're just watching and kind of telling you what they want to do with their turn in the game whilst you give them the information. Because yeah, anything involving like them having their own copy of the game and then trying to replicate what you have on your table, like that's going to be like an absolute ton of work. But if you're just getting them to kind of shout instructions to you while you actually manage the cards, that might work quite nicely.
Yeah, I've played a different game, a dungeon crawler called Forbidden Fortress, and well, that's gonna have to do. You're gonna get.
Oh, we're back. Yeah.
Didn't mute that. There we go.
When PJ's mentioning that they do a fantasy draft where they're like picking the cards that they're going to use for their purchase system league, I know that the game is meant to be like really, really fun played that way, and that my understanding is that these starter decks are kind of seen as not particularly fun and in terms of what the game has to offer, and they're okay to learn with, but the real fun stuff is once you start mixing up cards and really digging into the card set and combinations and deck building the game has to offer. So maybe that's something we can look into at some point in the future, David. Some customized decks for this game hitting the table. I think it's tough for us because both of us have only bought into this. I've bought into quite a bit of the Marvel stuff in the past, but David's only bought into it recently, and part of it is trying to have that matching card pool so that when we're pulling things in from other places, we're not having kind of weird things where some of us have access to cards the other one doesn't, this kind of thing. But I'm sure I could be persuaded to invest in one or two of the other sets David has, and we can start doing some custom decks that way at some point.
Yeah, well,
anyway, you good to go again, David?
Yeah, where was I?
So I think you just played Reyes,
right,
and I think that was kind of the last thing that happened.
That was the last thing I did, and One other thing I'm going to do before I do anything else, I do have another Dana Scully that I'm going to play straight to my discard to give Dana a +1 to attack and defense. With that, Monica has 4 with her attack, or I'm sorry, 5. She's a 5 attack, 4 defense, which I think 5 is enough to attack any of your front row, right?
Yep, yeah, you've got the colonists there with 4 defense, Folly with 3, and Roar with 3. Folly can only take 1 hit. Roar can take 2. So that might influence your decision a bit there as well.
I am desperately whittling away at your colonists. What is their defense?
Yeah, they're only 4 defense, so and they only have 2 attack as well. So I don't think they'd be big enough to do anything back to raise.
Yeah, let's take another shot at the colonists.
Okay, so they will take the hit and get flipped over. A 2nd wound counter onto them.
And you have Crew Cut Man in your discard there?
Yep, Crew Cut is in the discard. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to use my X-Files location, which provides me the red power, to use Dana's forensic scientist and remove that from the game.
Okay, it's out of here.
And as a result, I get another XP. And I only need 3 to level up, so I'm on my way. That being said, Dana is 4 wounds out of 5, so we'll see if I can survive another turn. It's not likely, but we'll see what happens. Yeah. Again, Dana's attack, even though she has ranged, is not enough to hit anyone on your front row, it looks like. So I have no other plays. It's over to you.
Okay, so draw phase first, draw a couple of cards. Recovery phase, we're going to ready everyone up and flip the colonists back to being face up as well.
And what is their health again?
They have 6 wounds, so yeah, they're hanging in there. And okay, build phase and resource step here. I think for the first time, I am going to use just a face down regular card. So I've drawn a lot of locations this game, but you are able to also just play something face down, just a regular card. So I'm going to do that. I am stacking these up now as well, but I do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 resources this time to play with. Okay, so I'm going to use all 7 to play Cigarette Smoking Man. So he is a 3 attack, 9 defense character. He can take 1 wound. His ability seems really good. Syndicate Mastermind. So it has to be played in the main phase, and it costs 1 of each type of symbol, plus the alien symbol as well. And it says choose an enemy player to reveal their hand. Discard 2 of those cards. Cigarette Smoking Man pays 1 less power symbol to use this power for each alien character on your side. So it would be 5 symbols, but I have 6 alien characters on my side of the game now. So he gets to do his thing for free, which seems like an absolute bargain. So that is my recruit step done. So I'll move to main phase, and right away I'll go for this Syndicate Mastermind ability and take a look at your hand and just try and hopefully shore up a victory here by getting rid of 2 of the cards in it. What do we got there, David?
Is that a superpower, or is that just a regular old effect?
That is a really good question. Is it a superpower if it uses symbols? Is that what we're?
I believe
Uh,
that's the case. If you have to pay for it using one of your resources.
that makes sense to me. Yeah. Do you have a counter in hand for superpower shenanigans here?
Yes, and we do have a quorum on that. It is a superpower.
Nice.
So
Okay.
I'm going to play the Lone Gunman newsletter. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't play that. It can only be played during combat, and we're not in combat, so
Oh, okay. Um,
I ignored that. So I'm one step toward revealing my hand to you. Uh,
it's a
the
bit
lone
low comment.
Yeah, the Lone Gunman newsletter, and because we're just starting out here, I'll read its effects so you know what it can do. Says combat, put a +1/+1 counter on a character on your side in the combat. This combat, new sentence, this combat, the next time an enemy character uses a superpower or an enemy player plays a plot twist, you can cancel it. So that's a nice one to have handy. I've got another resource, the Academy there, which provides a yellow energy. Another Monica Reyes, same as the one that's on the field already. And Fox Mulder.
Mulder as well.
Yeah, one of my big characters here. He's a 7 attack, 9 defense, but only 1 on the health. Finding a trend in this particular deck. A lot of low health type people, but he has an effect. You pay 7 less to recruit Mulder if you have no supporting characters on your side, and at least 7 resources. Well, no supporting characters on my side hasn't been a problem in this particular game. So I've been looking forward to playing this one. His cost is 7, which has prevented me from doing anything with that. And he does have a main effect here. So just for flavor, so you know if this is the character you want to take out. You pay 1 yellow, name a card, search an enemy player's deck, and hand for each card with that name and remove them from the game. So those are my 4: Fox Mulder, Monica Reyes, a location there, Academy, and that Lone Gunman newsletter. A couple nice targets for you to remove from the game there.
Yeah, definitely. So Smoky Man gets to grab 2 of them, and I'm going to go for the 2 that I know could kind of mess around in combat here. So I'm hoping I might be able to line up the win this turn. So get rid of any shenanigans. We're going to send the Reyes card to discard and the Lone Gunman newsletter as well.
Okay.
So rest of the main phase, the plan is that the super soldiers are going to team up for an attack on Reyes for 10 damage.
All right. Now she does have ranged. That
So
only works from the back row, though, right?
Because I am my understanding is because I'm targeting a ranged attack at you, as long as you have a ranged icon, you can strike back. So, I presume she wants to put a wound onto one of these super soldiers here.
Yes, I do. The one on your left, I guess. They're all
for the sake of argument. Yeah,
they're all the same.
They will take a wound back away. And then for my second attack, I will gang up with everyone in the front row here for a big attack against Scully for 3, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I think Scully's a goner.
That will do. Yeah, even with a defense of 6, that's not even close to taking care of it. Shoot. Well, that was kind of I don't know, for me, that was kind of a quick game.
I think for a learning game, particularly, right, we were very lucky to have an audience member on hand to help us out, which sped up things a bit. But given that we were like I hadn't played for, I mean, it is years at this point since I last played this game, and you hadn't played before at all. I think getting through a whole game on stream in the time we did is pretty respectable. So yeah, nice quick one.
So some post-game analysis, and PJ, I'd love to have you, and we're now up to 3 viewers. So if we have any comments, please throw them out there if you've been watching the game. I felt kind of like I was behind the 8 ball right from the beginning. I had a lot of my characters were just 1 health. I did have some good supporting characters, but they were a little too expensive for me to play in the beginning. So I was throwing those lone gunmen out and just set them up and knock them down, kind of a thing. Operator error or bad drawing of my hand? I don't know. What do you think?
There's a couple of things, right? Which is whenever you play a game for the first time, knowing whether you should mulligan or not is always difficult. You're not familiar with the cards. You don't really know what the best, unless you've spent time looking before. You're not really sure what the best cards in the deck are that you want to see. So yeah, that thing of like, do I throw away 7 and redraw is a big thing. And I think the other thing is PJ saying about powering up. Frohickey, I can see that, and the other thing is I thought there was maybe 1 or 2 turns as well where you could have brought Scully forward to team up with a character in the front row for a team attack, kind of on the turns where you know that like I'm going to be able to get through that first character and get to her anyway, just so that you're putting some pressure back on the other way to bring her forward and go, okay, she is more vulnerable here, but PJ saying also save the red when there were 2 crew cut men in the KO to get more
to eliminate that many more cards and get that many more XP. I would have been able to power up at that point, which would have given me a 4 attack and 9 defense, which would have been a big help, I think, along the way. So yeah, I missed a couple power up opportunities, possibly on that one, and playing Scully's effect at a better time would have helped me out a lot. I'm going to chalk that up to experience, lack of experience on my part. When I got that first hand, you're right, I probably should have mulliganed on that one. But I did have some low-cost supporting characters and some locations to give me some resources without having to sacrifice. Well, I guess I'll just put down this supporting character because I need a resource card. I had locations, and I figured that was a good trade-off. I could keep my supporting characters and use the locations for resources. So I felt like I had a decent hand. I was at least going to get out on the board, but yeah, I kept getting those lone gunmen like one at a time. You know, I think there was only one time where I had 2 in my hand at one time, where I could have played one and then powered up, immediately powered up on that. So yeah, it was just oh, I've got a lone gunman, I'll put him down. I get knocked out. And next turn, oh, I got a lone gunman. You know, so yeah, a little bit of unfortunate draws from the deck, but yeah, a good learning experience for me to take advantage of. I was just so scared for Dana Scully. I just wanted to protect her at all costs, and I felt like moving her to the front was just really putting her out there.
I think there's a really interesting tension in this game between wanting to protect your main character and when you need it to work. Like when that decision point of like, when do I want to put that main character into action versus when do I really need to save them from taking on more wounds. I remember definitely one of these games that I played in the past, like there was a lot of jumping the main character between front and back line, trying to get that balance just right. So it's something that I enjoy about the VS 2-player card game, is that it's quite unique. There's not many games where you have that the two-row thing, and the idea that your aim is to just get this one character dead, and you're trying to protect them, but you also want them to be doing their thing. It's something that's a bit different for this game that adds a fun little extra dimension to your thinking.
Yeah. Well, I've personally, looking back, I lost, but it was fun, and I really enjoyed it, and I do need to get more familiar with my cards. So the concept of teaming up and moving back and forth is still, I wasn't sure exactly how to use those to my advantage. So that's just going to come with experience, I think. PJ, if there's room in your Discord server, that Buckeye Discord server, I would love to join that and just watch some games being played so I can learn from some experts. I keep getting this morning sun. I'm in a new location. Studio Squim is in a different place now, and so I strategically placed my deck next to the window, and now the morning sun is like, It's
PJ, do you guys have a YouTube channel? Can we give you a plug if you have? I don't know if there's a
definitely.
Or, David is always up for giving people a shout out if there's some content creation going on elsewhere.
Let's see what he has to say here. They are not on YouTube. Also, they
are on YouTube.
Oh, they are on YouTube. I misread that. Again, I'm going to blame the sun and my lack of glasses. They are on YouTube. Also, they have games up. I want to see that. What is that YouTube channel?
You know what you're watching with your lunch today now, right? Buckeye YouTube channel.
Yeah, I know how I'm going to spend I'm going to spend my time between now and my next broadcast here in just a couple hours watching that, because I think with a little more experience and a little more understanding, we could really make this a great game, and less fumbling around with reading the rule book and stuff. We actually did pretty good. You're right. This game is not so complicated that you're constantly having to go to the rule book and refer to things. So yeah, just a little more experience on my end, and I think I could do really good. And again, I want to get Robert Patrick Modell out on the table. He's my guy. I didn't think of it in time. I was madly putting on my FBI suit here before the broadcast. I was trying to find a piece of cardboard to write pass and put it in my pocket, but I didn't get there. Versus 2P CG Buckeye and Friends. I assume that is the YouTube channel we need to go to. So definitely, if you enjoyed this game or you're curious about it, definitely check out PJ Foley and his group. They're playing a versus system. I'm guessing you're going to see a lot of Marvel and DC on that one. Hopefully we'll see X-Files and Buffy and the boys on there too, so I can see how I can mash up my resources here. Alastair, do you still have a lot of versus system in your collection that you can draw from? Are they animated as opposed to photographic, or
what's the potential? To it and got a mix there. So I've got the original base game for the illustrated. I've got the original set from Marvel and the Civil War battles, which, as far as I understand, it was kind of like their reboot. No, not quite reboot, but sort of like another attempt at doing like another core set type experience. So I've got those two, and I have a bunch, quite a few of the. I think they did sort of a block of kind of Spider-Man releases that I've got ones for, and a few other of the smaller packs for the illustrated, and then on the film side of things, X-Files obviously, and then quite a few of the releases for the Marvel Cinematic universe.
Oh yeah.
But not a lot else. So I mean, again, one of the disadvantages of being this side of the Atlantic is that some of them are really pretty hard to get hold of now. I know the Buffy one that you got is not easy to track a copy of down over here, so hands are a bit tied on getting hold of some of them, or at least without paying quite a lot on shipping. But I can't complain. It's a pretty decent pool to be drawing from to try and make things. As ever for me, like my big thing whenever I'm playing a card game is just I love it when both players have access to the same pool of cards, and you have that kind of fairness on the playing field of where people can draw from to put their deck together for a game, and that people are working with the same tools, and it comes down to skill and a bit of luck as to who prevails rather than who has the bigger collections. So at least it's I've got a reasonable amount to pull on to do that. But yeah, I will have to try and match some of your collection, David, so that we have a similar pool of cards when we want to expand out from X-Files. But I have a feeling we can get another game or two in, maybe with the X-Files sets before we have to worry about bringing more stuff in. So
yeah, I mean, I only got through half of my deck, so there's still a lot of potential there, and a lot more cards that I haven't even touched. And the Monica Reyes card alluded to having main characters with not necessarily like this theme here is law enforcement, but you could use Monica with a main character that's the syndicate or the monster of the week. So a lot of potential to mix things around, even though this was a limited number of X-Files cards. There's still a lot of potential to mix and match, even just staying within the X-Files universe. We can still definitely get a few games in here and keep it interesting before we start mixing around. You mentioned Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and that was kind of like a big get for me. That was one where I was like, oh, this is going to kill me, but I'm going to pay for it. I kept seeing it because, again, I'm a notorious cheapskate. Everyone knows, and I'm not ashamed of it. But I really wanted it, right? I was a fan of the show. I didn't watch it when it was first run, but I got to binge it, and that kind of held my attention for it because I was able to just keep going. That was like a regular Friday night thing. I'd get in like 4 or 5 episodes and order some pizza and have it delivered so I could just watch Buffy, nonstop.
That sounds amazing. It sounds a lot like my own teenage years. Have some happy memories coming back to me there of pizza and Buffy the Vampire Slayer marathons.
Yeah.
I actually have quite a big collection of cards for the CCG for that, although sadly that's one that is I would say almost kind of basically impossible to play over webcam. There's a thing where you're moving characters around a board, and the board is shared space in the game, and there is a lot of moments where you'd want to do this and like reach through the monitor to place your card on the other side of things. So I think sadly that's one that is it would be really difficult to do over webcam. But if you're interested in seeing it, David, I hadn't realized you're a big fan of the show, but I could definitely send you some pictures of book binders full of cards for that, which would be fun.
Oh, it's funny that we would switch, use that common ground to switch to CCG. I do have a couple starters and a couple pre-constructed decks from Buffy, and I've been wanting to play because of the location. Moving around the different locations in the town really fascinated me. That was another one. There's another game called Doomtown Reloaded that has that same concept where you're setting up, as you play the game, you're putting out what they call deeds, which are locations, and you can move your characters around to different locations. And then there's the town square in the middle that you can have shootouts and other locations outside of town, farmsteads and that kind of thing. So really deep, and I haven't played that game yet because that's another one.
I've played a bit of Doomtown Reloaded not long after it came out, actually, so really quite a long time ago now. But my experience with it was that both me and my friend who I was playing it with, we were learning it for the first time, And one of the things that really interested me about the game is that there's kind of no, as far as we could see, there was no training wheels. Like if you wanted to, you could just walk your gang out into the street on the first turn, and it was probably very ill-advised and very non-strategic. But you could just enter into a huge bloodbath that would end the game virtually out of the gates playing it, which made the learning curve for it a bit weird, because you had to kind of try and get it into your head that it's not okay to just make the random, like the first turn a random huge fight in the street, and that the smart way to play was to hold back and slowly build it up. So I think one of the interesting things about Buffy and the fact that you're moving around locations still like that is that there are some guardrails there. You're not going to get that first turn massacre, which prematurely ends the game. So yeah, both really fun. I think both very very hard games to play. Doomtime probably even harder than Buffy to play over webcam, sadly. So that's an in-person game, I think, for sure. But I always wanted to try out the original Doomtime as well when it was a CCG. But that's yet another game where cards can be quite hard to come by and quite expensive. This is just like,
I see those pop up. There's in the various Facebook groups for dead CCGs, and every once in a while someone would be like, "Hey, found these in my attic and want to get rid of them," but yeah, they're a little pricey, and they are on category1games.com. I think they've got the original on there, but again, it's because it's so old and hard to find. There's a bit of a startup cost to that. But man, if we could figure out how to play Buffy online, I'm in, because that would be, not only is the theme really cool, but the mechanics, I really am intrigued by it. I haven't played it yet, but I've got it on my shelf. Guillaume actually too is a big Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan, and he bought a few cards to help him with some design ideas for some fan-made cards that he was making. And he mentioned it, and I was like, "Wait a minute, you're a Buffy fan? Let's play the CCG." And I was fortunate. I found a steal on eBay for the pre-constructed decks, but I didn't realize that they didn't come with instructions. It's just the deck. Fortunately, not too long later, I actually won a contest on a different YouTube channel, and I won 2 starter decks that came with all the instructions and all the stuff I needed. So I've been waiting for an opportunity. So that might be the next. You can see whenever these kind of opportunities come up, suddenly it's like a beautiful mind, and all the equations are floating around my head. It's like, how can I make this work? How many cameras would I need? And all this stuff. It's PJ brings up a very good point here. An advantage to mashing up some of the different universes here in Versus system. Buffy locations would not have activated your colonist effect, so I could have avoided helping you with that. And I was fortunate that my locations were a lot of the same locations as yours. So once it got out on the table, I wasn't helping you. But I think I did play one that gave you a free XP, which I didn't come to regret. Fortunately, it gave you a little help, but it didn't get you up there. But yeah, that's a good point. Thanks. And I am going to put up that YouTube channel again, because I want to encourage people to play this game. So what you're seeing there on the screen now, that is a YouTube channel that PJ Foley is a member of, where they play Versus system. They play through Discord, but they have uploaded their games to this channel, so you can check them out. And I will definitely be subscribing to that channel and going through their library. What did you think about your deck, Alastair? It seemed pretty. You came out of the gates firing,
yeah.
and really had me on the ropes there from the beginning.
The colonist deck seems fun to me. I would be interested to know, actually. Sometimes with I know with these starter decks where you've got the list for 2 decks in, it's kind of common knowledge in the community that one is better than the other, or one's more powerful. So I would be interested to know if colonists or FBI are meant to be the better deck for this. It definitely felt like I was able to put the pressure on and keep it on, and I think that the fact that I had a good few 2-wound characters in there, so they could survive a hit from your team and pop back up, and had a good number. I was able to really put the ranged characters to work. Get a back row down that was able to just keep that front row suppressed on your side of the table. So no complaints from me about the colonists. Colonist deck here. So it was fun, and very happy if we play again to switch decks or even try building. If you want to build a monster of the week one with Pusher, and I can try building aliens or FBI or something, and just mix things up. Sounds good.
Yeah, I think I might actually be a little better off because I kind of trusted the rule book and the deck list that they had in there. And didn't review my card. Like when you're building your own deck, of course, each card is carefully curated and you're familiar with it. And like if you get the ability, I had that one effect to look through my deck and find a card. And I kind of had to think about it a little bit. But with building my own, I am more intimately familiar with my deck. And I think that would be an advantage. So as much as I appreciate Upper Deck providing me with this deck list to get me started, I think my next deck would probably be a custom one, even if it was this deck, but kind of pick and choose a few that I think might be a little better, might help me out a little better. But yeah, definitely from here on out, I'm going to go with custom unless I'm playing with someone else who is a beginner and we want to start out like you and I did. What does PJ say here? In an open field, colonists don't fare very well usually, but the big thing was the health advantage aliens have over humans, and that is very true. I said it several times. My lone gunmen were just set them up and knock them down, and that was hurting me, and I wasn't getting them at the same time, so I could power up. But there was one opportunity where I had an extra one in my hand and I didn't think to power up, but even with what it would have been, let me look real quick here. Maybe it was buyers, I don't remember, but yeah, with a 1 attack and 4 defense, +1 on that defense, it still wouldn't have helped me out with your team ups that you were doing. Those were pretty rough. Another comment from PJ here. Let's see what he has. The X-Files team can really need the gunmen to come fast, and Scully can use them to level up. Very true.
Oh yeah, yeah, I see that now. So because Scully can get stuff from your own KO pile as well, David. Is that what's going on here? So you're like, you play the lone gunman, you discard it to get you discard your other one to get the effect, and then the first lone gunman gets killed, and all of a sudden you've got 2 in there early on for Scully to start. PJ, yeah, I see the plan coming.
PJ, very, very smart. I was always thinking us against them, and it does say on the card anywhere. So if I had been thinking a little more strategically, that's a very good point, and I'm glad you brought that up. I can attack my own deck or my own KO pile, and with all my lone gunmen sitting in there, I could have powered up like pretty quickly in the game. That would have changed things. So that's some great insight. I really appreciate that. Again, I kind of went in with this us versus them, and how am I going to play these dirty tricks against Alastair when I could have been a lot more strategic and helped myself quite a bit with that. So again, another learner's a beginner's thing that will help me get a better mindset for the next. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. What were you going to say?
No, not at all. Yeah, I was just about to kind of say more or less what you were saying, that it's like it's part of the fun of when you come to a new game and you get to learn these, learn new strategies, learn how you're meant to be optimally using these new cards, and it's part of the fun of the experience when you go and you try something new and you're playing without all that knowledge. When we play games that we've played lots of and we've been familiar with for a long time, there's something very rewarding about knowing what you're doing and being able to make those educated plays. But I also really enjoy just coming to a game like this where I've not played a lot of it, it's been a long time, or I'm completely fresh to, and I actually kind of enjoy blundering around and just that learning experience of being like, oh, like when something comes together and you're like, oh, this is how this is meant to work. And there's something really fun about that feeling as well of digging into something new. So yeah, just like you were saying, learning experience, and you'll have Scully firing off next time, knowing what you're doing going into it.
Now, as we're wrapping it up, I want to, we always wrap it up with, hey, what do you have coming up? What's going on? And I am going to actually take a couple cameras out of the way here, so it's you and me. And I want to say, Alastair, what do you have coming up? What's you don't have a YouTube channel yet, but you've been hard at work on a card game, a digital card game, as part of a team, and I'm madly trying to get to that game so we can put it up. But what was the name of it again?
Co-op horror card game. So if you're a fan of Dead by Daylight, you've heard of that, one of the big co-op horror games that's out there at the moment. We've been described in reviews as like a card-based Dead by Daylight. So you're working together with friends, each of you has a character card, and you're navigating this board, this environment, where you're trying to find summoning altar cards the evil cultists are using to fulfill their dastardly plans. And in the game, you're trying to find those cards, you're trying to destroy them, and you win the game by getting to a certain number. But there's all manner of horrors and hazards in your way. So yeah, if you're into your co-op games, if you like even talking about tabletop stuff, if you enjoy Pandemic or Horrified, these games where you're trying to work with your friends to overcome a game system that's playing against you, then it's very much in that kind of vein. If you played things like Arkham Horror card game as well, these things are.
I'm going to interrupt you because I took out your table camera, and that's the one that was your microphone. So I missed the name. I'm going to look it up here on Steam so we can show it off. What was that?
It's just Demons. If you search for the word Demons, it should pop up pretty near the top there. Yeah, there we are.
Okay, so here's the game on Steam. And oh, yeah, that's a cool thing there. And so coming soon. How soon are we talking about?
So we've just locked into a March release for this year, but we're available to wishlist right now. Wishlist, we're a tiny indie team working on this, so wishlists mean a lot to every game that's coming up to be released, but for us, they're just such an important metric. Even if you think probably not my cup of tea, but I just want to keep it in the back of my mind and maybe see how it works as it gets closer to release. Like if you're happy to go click that wish list button, it helps us out so much. Then when March rolls around, if you decide it is your cup of tea and you're into it, we'll be releasing then. But actually, even just next weekend, we're running a free playtest. So you can come try out the game for free just by clicking the request access button on the page. That's open to everyone, and there'll be 3 of our demons that we've built for the game in there to try your skills against. So if you want to dip your toe in, see what the game's all about, play a little bit for nothing, then that's next weekend, Friday through Monday. We'll have that open play test running, and you can come and give it a shot and see what you think.
So Friday through Monday, we're talking this first weekend of February.
Right, you got it. Yeah, so I think it's the 31st or the 3rd are the dates for that, and it's just a question. Just click that request access button on the page, and when the demo goes live, you'll get a ping saying it's live, and you can just jump right into it, and it doesn't cost anything. You can try it out.
Very cool. Very cool. And how long have you been working on this? It's been a couple of years in the making.
Yeah, a few years of development into it. So it's really exciting getting to this point now where we're really seeing everything really come together. You know, it's be satisfying seeing little bits fall into place, but we're getting to the end of the journey of developing that first full version of the game. So yeah, really excited now just to share it with people. We've had some really nice feedback. We've ran playtests for about half a year at this point that have been open and free, and I've had some really useful comments that led to us changing some things, and just really happy to see a lot of people really enjoying the game as well. So it's been a great journey so far, and looking forward to getting to that line in March of an early access release, and really getting it out there for people to enjoy.
That's very exciting. That's coming up very soon too. So probably kind of on the edge of your seat, getting that one set up.
It's a busy time. It's busy time for sure. I'm squeezing in these stream card games in between that work at the moment, and looking forward to where I know this is a nice segue actually onto what you have coming up, David, because one of the things that I have marked time aside from developing the game and working on that is to come and play a couple of games in your WinterSlam event.
Yeah, WinterSlam. Thank you for that introduction. What WinterSlam is it's February 22nd, this coming February 22nd, which is Saturday. I have asked our gaming group to clear their calendars and buy a bunch of Red Bull and order pizza, because we're going to be playing games all day. And between all of us, there are 5 different YouTube channels. We're all going to be playing games amongst our group. And if you want to get in on that, please do get in touch with me. The games, our bread and butter is, of course, the X-Files CCG. So you're going to be seeing a lot of that throughout the day. I'll be playing some. You'll be seeing it. I'll put the different channels in the description so you don't have to remember them. But Alien Investigations is going to be part of it. MMXFILESCCG is going to be part of it. Studio Squim, of course, and then also, of course, Chasing the Dragon with Nathan is going to be there, and Mike with Do Not Pass Go channel is going to be participating. We're going to be playing all kinds of different games. Like I said, the X-Files CCG, you'll probably see a lot of that. There'll also be a versus system. We've already got a couple of games of that on the calendar using the X-Files, so you'll get to see this again. There'll also be Battlestar Galactica CCG. Alastair and I will be playing Star Trek, the original, the card game, the original one before Decipher, made by Fleer Skybox, which personally I prefer, but that's just me. I actually haven't played the Decipher version. I've seen it, and I'm curious, but seems a bit overwhelming because it's that card game is so huge. With the commercially released alone are a lot of cards, and then you add all the fan-made cards that have come since then. There's quite a bit going on there, but we almost got a game of Star Wars, Decipher Star Wars in there. Unfortunately, that didn't come together, but it's not limited to just the X-Files. It's going to be all kinds of games across all these different channels. There will be a couple booster box openings during that, one of the X-Files and one of Scooby-Doo, the expandable card game, which I'm sure we're going to get a couple games of that on the different channels as well. So yeah, X-Files, Scooby-Doo, Battlestar Galactica, Star Trek. You're going to see all kinds of great games all day across multiple channels, some of them simultaneously, so you have to go back and watch some of them, so you get at least a couple of days worth of content there to check out and play. And hopefully, if the word gets out, we'll find some new players. That's kind of where I was going with this, is drawing people into our gaming group and getting people out there It's like, oh, Star Trek, the card game, never heard of it. Well, reach out to me because I got a few cards I could spare you. I've opened up more booster boxes of that than ever, thankfully, because it's pretty inexpensive. You can get started right away. And get a real good collection fast. But yeah, February 22nd, Saturday, February 22nd. If you want to just watch, pop some popcorn, make sure you have plenty of pizza rolls and beer so you can sit around and watch a lot of great card gaming. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Definitely keep an eye on all the different channels that are participating. We're adding new games to the schedule. We're still kind of in the beginning phase. We have 4 scheduled for the day. It is going to start. I keep mentioning February 22nd. I do believe, and don't quote me on this, but we might have a X-Files CCG discussion. Not a gameplay, but we're going to get all the top minds together and talk about different things regarding the X-Files CCG. And we'll do that Friday the 21st. In the well, for me it's the evening time. For you, Alastair, it would probably be pretty early in the morning. But we're going to get together. We're going to talk about deck building tips for beginners. Possibly talk about the different the fan-made expansions that are either released in playtest or still in design concept and design phase. So the game, even though it's been out of print for quite a while now, 2 decades or more, still a very vibrant fan base. The game is still very much alive. We're playing all the time, especially now we're doing play testing for a season 5 expansion of games authored by Steven from the Alien Investigations YouTube channel, which I highly recommend. Go there, subscribe. Don't think about it, just do it. Go there and subscribe after you subscribe to Studio Squam, of course. But it's going to be a big weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun starting possibly, I don't want to promote this too much, but I think it's pretty much going to happen starting Friday night with an X-Files CCG discussion where you'll get to learn about the game and see all the great stuff that's coming up. And Saturday gaming all day, possibly even into Sunday if we get enough participation and people wanting to play games. There's no shortage of people wanting to play. And a lot of different games out there. So yeah, hopefully a big drive for more people to play these games. And maybe there are people out there who, like me, there was a time when I had no idea there was a Scooby-Doo expandable card game, and it was made by the same people that made the X-Files CCG. So the gameplay is very similar. I grew up on Scooby-Doo. A lot of great memories watching that on Saturday mornings in my pajamas eating cereal. So I was sold, and that's another easy one to get into, and it's fairly inexpensive and available around the different online auction marketplaces that are out there. So hopefully we'll get some people who maybe didn't know there was a Battlestar Galactica or a Scooby-Doo game out there, and they watch it played, and maybe they're kind of interested, and next thing you know, they're going to be on the channels playing games with us. So yeah, thank you very much for bringing that up. I want to promote that as much as possible because I want people to check it out and get excited about these games. You'll see Versus System, Battlestar, Scooby-Doo, X-Files, Star Trek, all kinds of stuff. It'll be a lot of fun. I guarantee you, it'll be a good time.
And we have something to look forward to coming much sooner than that as well. Just hours away, right, David? Tell us what you're at. What you're up to this afternoon. Yeah.
Yeah, I really booked myself. So once this is done, I'm going to rearrange my cameras and get everything set up. I'm going to be doing a booster opening of the aforementioned Battlestar Galactica CCG. I have a pretty good collection, and there's a whole story behind how that happened. If you go to my channel and look at the player or look at the matchups from last week, I played against Mike from the Do Not Pass Go channel, and a little tribute to a gentleman named Robert Burns. I won't get too into it. If you're curious, you can go check out that broadcast, and I've got chapters in there, so you can go right to it. But he passed away not too long ago and had a huge collection of all these different games, and Battlestar Galactica was one of them. And they are selling those cards. The family is selling those cards to help fund his niece and nephew's college education. So I was happy to help out with that. I've amassed a pretty good collection, still some holes. When I was deck building for that game last week, I realized I still need more cards, if you can believe it. Who sits around thinking, gosh, I need more collectible card game cards? But yeah, I need some more. So I've got some boosters. I'm going to be opening those in just a couple hours here on Studio Squim. I'll be broadcasting that live as well. You'll see. Hopefully, I'll get something. These are not from a box. I bought a couple from here and a couple from there. So it's just kind of a mishmash. So the odds are not in my favor in terms of getting foil cards or some ultra rares like that. But we'll see what happens. We'll definitely add to the collection, and I'll talk about the cards in the game while I'm doing it. So if you're curious about Battlestar Galactica, you didn't know there was a game, or maybe you heard about it, but you never really got into it. You want to see the cards and check it out, and maybe talk, listen to me talk about it. I'll be out there. That's coming up in just a couple hours, or hour and a half now. I better get on it. I can't sit here and keep talking about this.
Scissors are ready for cutting those packs open.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm calling it my never-ending mission to liberate all dead CCGs from their foil. So I'm starting with Battlestar Galactica, and I've got some Scooby-Doo sitting behind me there that I'm going to do another time as well. And then I've got 2 boxes of Star Trek, the card game, one from the base and one from Starfleet Maneuvers. And so I'm still looking for a few ultra rares from that. And a couple more of the uncommons to give me, because you can have up to 4 of any one specific card in your deck in that game. And there's a few where I only have 1 or 2, so I'm looking to level up on that as well. So yeah, Studio Squim very busy these days. A bit of a hiatus, but got some energy, and hopefully I don't burn out too quickly on that. But
you're on a roll. I'm enjoying it. It's great. It's great seeing all the. I dropped in on you and Mike playing Battlestar the other day, which was really interesting. I hadn't really seen that game actually on a table before. I want to say I was watching something else that you had recorded that I was in a similar position of it being a game that I hadn't actually seen played before, and it's great. What's the word I'm looking for here? I want to say like a curator, but almost like an archaeologist of dead CCGs. It's brilliant watching these playthroughs, and it's just a treat. If this is your jam, you're into old card games. It's kind of weird that at this point in time where we have streaming and the ability to record games very easily, that there's still these gaps where these mass-produced card games haven't actually been played anywhere on YouTube that we can find yet. So big Squim fan for getting to spend my lunch hours sitting watching Battlestar or whatever else it is get played.
And Battlestar, I don't know if you made these connections, but Battlestar, not too unlike Versus in terms of the resource row and then the back and the front row. So if you like Versus system and you're into the Battlestar Galactica, the rebooted universe, not too much of a stretch to get used to Battlestar. There's of course there's different mechanics and stuff, but the board layout seemed like it had some similarities. So that
was I getting it right, David? The Cylon turn was almost a little bit like X-Files game where you're playing kind of the adversary to your opponent on their turn, and then it flips around again, and they're being sort of running the Cylons on your turn, or did I misunderstand what was going on there?
No, you got it right. You know, you're playing, and this is another one that can be multiplayer as well. But assuming it's a 1v1 type situation, you play against each other a little bit, back and forth as you would any game. But at the end of the turn, that's called the Cylon phase, and each card has a Cylon number in red, and each player flips a card from their deck, and that's the Cylon threat. And if there's no red text on there, you get a pass, right? But then if there is red text, that effect takes place, and then you use that card. Like you said, you kind of take on the Cylon role and use it as a card against your opponent. And then once you've resolved that combat, it flips, and your opponent, who has a Cylon card, would kind of take on the role of the Cylons and attack and challenge you. So yeah, very interesting. It's almost like an extra turn against your opponent. You don't benefit as much. There is a way to, if you defeat a Cylon threat, you get 2 influence. So that's always a nice help. So that's an interesting piece of that game. With that, it's almost like the Cylons are like this third party that their threat is looming in the game, but you don't necessarily play as the Cylons. Of course, Mike had the idea to make a Cylon themed deck, which you can do. I actually had thought about doing it myself, making a Cylon deck. There are some drawbacks, but it's fun. It's fun to try that, because usually, originally, there's 2 factions. There's military and political, and it's more infighting. Who's got more influence to control the fleet? Is it the politicians, or does the military kind of run the fleet? And then the Cylons are like this third party that just kind of come in at the end. But intriguing to try and build a Cylon deck and make it work. So we'll see. Mike and I are both enjoying the game, so you'll definitely see more of that. You'll see it at WinterSlam, but I definitely need to get a couple more plays in before then, so I can Mike and I can make an interesting game for everybody to watch. Yeah,
sounds good. I did find somewhere where I can source some of those cards, but it wouldn't be cheap for me. So I've got my thinking cap on about investing in Battlestar Galactica. But it looked very good fun, and I will be looking forward to both your box opening and your next game with Mike, whenever that is. So yeah, that will tide me over.
And you can join the Battlestar Galactica player and collectors group on Facebook. There are people, not necessarily in the UK, but there are people in Europe who are looking to sell their collections. So if you're curious, you can join that and look around and see who's offering what. Not in the UK, but a lot closer than the United States. So it's not as tough as far as shipping is concerned. But yeah, a lot of people, there's a handful who want to play, and a lot of people who are just kind of looking to offload their collections, so you can take advantage of that. If you want to get into it, yeah, it's not hard.
Sounds good. Well, is that us pretty much wrapped up for an afternoon, David? Do you need to go and get a sandwich before your unboxing?
Yeah, I need to drink a lot of water, get my throat clear, and maybe get some protein in there, so I've got just enough energy to get through that and then collapse. But thank you very much for bringing that up. Definitely, if you watch this, you like what you see, you want to see more. The Studio Squim has lots of different gameplay out there. Alastair's got his game Demons on Steam. As he mentioned, there's a free-to-play coming up this weekend, which would be January 31st to March 3rd of 2025, if you're watching this in the future. So, but it's a planned release, or an initial release in March of 2025. So we look forward to that. Definitely go check it out. Put it on your wish list. That tells Steam that people are interested and get maybe a little more exposure that way. So, and definitely subscribe to Studio Squim. Please do like the videos that you enjoyed watching, and reach out to me if you want to play. We'll get you on the table, and if you like some of these games, but maybe you never played it or you haven't played it in years, let's do it. It's a lot of fun. Alastair, I hope we'll play again before WinterSlam. Clearly, I need the experience. But yeah, thank you very much for today and listening to me talk and watching me fumble through my cards there. But it was a great game. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too. Thanks so much for having me on the channel again, David. And absolutely, I'm up for a game of this whenever you are. So let's get something sorted.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Everyone else, have a great morning, afternoon, evening. Enjoy your day. Thank you very much.